Oh, hi there. I am Leslie Plazz. I am the author of The Audacious Adventures of Zazoo Plazz, part-time superhero, full-time mom. For sale right now on Amazon. And I'd like to welcome you to day 20 of the Zazoo Plazz April video challenge. And it's you notice I'm wearing a lot of green. I've got my lime shirt on here, and I'm drinking out of my reusable bottle. Guess what? It's Earth Day week, and it's 50 years since April 22nd, 1970 was the first Earth Day. And I was only 4.5 years old, so I don't really remember much about it. But I was reading, and I also did some research for my book. As you'll find, I was reading that, I guess on the first Earth Day, tons of people took to the streets to, bring attention to the state of the environment. And so it was 50 years ago that all that happened, and led to the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency, and all the rest of it is history. As we've been hearing about climate change and all that, I just found it. Hey!
Hi, excuse me. Can I get a question?
Where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay, so it occurred to me, reading on what's going on, that 50 years after the first Earth Day, people are going to be coming together online and talking about the future of environmentalism, of our planet, of the path forward. In this very evening, people are required to wear masks when they go out. And some of the early photos I saw, people at these Earth Day protests had, pictures, there were people wearing masks. And it just struck me how very ironic that is, and very sad and prophetic that all this was going on. And here I am 50 years later. And there's a lot of environmental stories woven into Zazoo Plazz. And I mean, look at her, she's standing on the earth. So to give a little background, in fact, this very morning, I sent a message to my former boss, who's Morris in the book, whom I worked for at the CREPE State Agency, CREPE, which is the Connecticut Regulation of Energy and Protection of the Environment, for a few years. A few years ago, I worked for about 3 years in the communications department, as you find in the booklet, in the work section of the book back here. And I let him know that there were some stories about him in the book, and about stories about people who worked with us at the agency, and some of the types of, there will be more stories about the types of events we had, and the issues we faced, and the crises that came up while I was working part-time for the State Environmental Agency. So I thought today I'd read you just a little bit from this one story called Settle Down, Sally, about when I first started working for the state agency. And I talk about going up to the third floor, and there was Morris's office, which was a big office because he was director of communications. Across from his office was a little Carol, a little tiny office wedged between two bigger cubicles. and facing a laminated banner of the timeline of Connecticut's environmental movement over the past 50, well at the time it was 40 plus years, beginning with the first Earth Day in 1970, followed by President Nixon's establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency. And I said, Connecticut's Environmental Agency was up and running by 1971, just in time to address the pollution that was choking our air, filling our streams, and causing that Native American man paddling his canoe through the garbage to shed a tear in the public service announcement I had watched on television as a child. Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty of this country, said the announcer, accompanied by Western movie music and drums, and some people don't. So later on I learned a little bit more about the marketing strategy behind that commercial, but the message had already hit home, and it caused me as a child to weep for Mother Earth, to be concerned about the future of the earth and for my children and my children's children, and that is very much still a concern, very much so these days, and something that I give a lot of my attention and resources to. In fact, this morning I saw some little yellow birdies out in the yard. They kind of look like these. I have a bunch of bird plates from my husband's uncle. He bequeathed them to us at our establishment of our home here. And I thought that the little yellow birdies were kind of like these, sending me a little sign, just a little alert. And they stood out in such stark contrast to the still pretty bare trees out there. And they kind of gave me hope, and they definitely put a smile on my face. Just like I hope Zazoo does for you. Hope you pick up Zazoo and read about her intent to save the world, and what really ended up happening, and so she's showing up for duty. Read about Zazoo. And all this week I'm going to be talking about some Earth Day oriented thing, and I hope you will join me. So have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. To you. See you later.